All right, welcome back to the Elite Classic 2 recap. We're here for a Lucifron versus Killjadi series that went uncasted. Got to fix that. Killjadi, always a pleasure to watch. Lucifron, absolutely talented player. I think what makes me so excited about this particular type of matchup is that Killjadi is about as all in as Vortex, really. Like, on an aggression chart, he matches the type of aggression we've seen out of Vortex. We've even seen him get wins up against Vortex on the ladder because of that. So, in a way, it's kind of like watching a Lucifron versus Discount Bro here, right? I'm curious to see what this series is going to mutate for us, especially considering the opening looks really strong for Killjadi. We're actually kicking off in 2x speed with a Jeanne D'Arc Delhi matchup. This matchup heavily favors Jeanne right now. I want to say they're like something like a 70% odd win rate up against Delhi in this tournament so far. Even on the ladders, they are pretty heavily favored from what I remember correctly. I think it's like 55-60% win rate, at least, at the highest level of play. Bodes well for Killjadi. Killjadi definitely needs the points. Definitely not to try and qualify to the main event. At this point, that is completely out of the realm possibility. But it would be the difference between besting Baltoon and ranking yourself up to get a little bit better of a payout. Not to mention the fact that each series is worth $25 on its own. So let's see what the reaction is going to be from Lucifron. It's going to be the Tower of Victory opening. We did just watch a series involving B, where his solution to the Delhi Jeanne predicament was to open Ghazi. Typically, the reason why Jeanne looks really good is she starts off by forcing you into Spearman as Delhi, and that already puts you a step behind. If you want to know how to beat Delhi, step one to beating Delhi is quite often any Civ that can force them to do something other than Stable's opening. Because Ghazi are incredibly powerful, they give you flexibility across the map. And that's very important for the Delhi considering they rely on mid-map control to secure their real win condition. So having to open with racks and then usually you go archery range afterwards means you're just very immobile. See which way Lucy wants to go though. Tech up complete. Sancti gets queued up straight away. Other side of it, Killjadi is going to be a 2-build up, so we're going to be looking at another 35-40 seconds before Jeanne is level 2. Actually spamming in extra houses to get her there a bit quicker. Yeah, because he went into the lumber camp earlier. Typically, you'll see people play straggler trees, and Jeanne will come by and build the lumber camp, but it looks like Killjadi done this a different way. First Knight, however, is going to be coming out. And Lucifron, he's going for the stable opening. Okay, dude, I actually think we might have found, I don't want to say the golden solution, but the way that you can at least survive the first few minutes of this game. It still requires an outplay. I think that this matchup, even the Ghazi opening, if your opponent's opening Knights and going with the Woman at Arms too, it's at least a comp that can avoid the fight, but it's still a fight that you don't want to take, right? Because it's Knights versus Ghazi. Speaking of which, that one Knight might have a problem here if he tries to engage. And look at the spawn as well. Pretty safe resources overall for Lucifron here, right? Easily wallable in the deer. Easily wallable in the deer and the berries in the corner. This is a jackpot, but a jackpot on the other side too. Killjadi got the deer boar spawn in the back corner. Not possible to get a safer spawn than this. In-map raids coming in. Knights are just circling right now. It looks like Jeanne is going to be moving for the second boar here, so we are going to see extra XP coming through. Killjadi is not going to go multi-TC here. He's only interested in aggro, 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 which makes sense because that's how you win or lose this matchup, right? Like, there's no greed play to be had because the Delhi don't aim to greed. They aim for the Assassin's Creed. Spearman now coming through for Killjadi. This is pretty standard so far. Like, well, I say standard, like, we're getting to the 1-1-1. This unstandard part is the fact that you open Ghazi, but the idea that Killjadi, I don't think you want to add in archers here. You essentially want to try to put all that extra economy into Knights. Because if you add in archers, right, like, you're favoring the Delhi. I think any time this matchup grinds into free unit comps, Delhi are better. The reason is that Delhi will have 2/3 of their army being buffed by 20% on their attack speed at that stage. By keeping it at this point, you're keeping it to a situation where you're actually leaning 50% into your strongest buff, right? Which is the extra damage, the fact that it's feudal knights. And you're staying away from this idea of discounting your knight count by putting in archers that are fundamentally worse than the Delhis. You will want to consider going for a blacksmith quite quickly here, though. Steel Arrow did just come through. He's seeing that his archers being produced. You don't want to lag behind too much on getting into Undermesh. It's a pretty big game changer here. You're also playing full melee comp. Another reason why this makes sense in this matchup. If blacksmith timings are important, by sticking on just spearmen and knights, yes, you need Undermesh, but for your damage increase, you only need one tech. You don't need two. Knights. Ooh, that was not ideal from Killjadi. Great little stab there coming from the spears. Scholar is going to tank quite a bit here. Cleave's going to come through. That's going to be Scholar going down, so decent XP there. This clash coming through. The Ghazi are going to body block this out. Archers trading out. Knight count does look good, though, so Killjadi should be able to push this away. Yeah, a bit weird how long Lucifron hung around there, but for good reason. He knew the moment he broke away, the archers were going to be forfeited. So he just want to keep clashing here, try and actually grind the army down as much as possible. It does mean realistically you're giving over more XP, but there isn't really an alternative option either. Cleaves again. Killjadi on point, just so many kills so far. Does have to retreat now, though. Jeanne getting a little bit low. Spearman wave has arrived, so great initial fight there. I think Lucifron actually kind of misread the engagement a bit. You might argue, okay, but actually Lucifron still has more military count. Sure, but most of Killjadi's remaining military count is in knights, right? So that's a deceptive element. Army value tells the truer tale. On top of that, that's a hell of a lot of XP to be banking this early on. Ghazi's dying give over 14 XP. The Scholar gave over 13 for his death. Then, of course, the Spearmen and Archers giving the standard 8s. Quite a lot of XP at this early point. And that's on top of the fact that Jeanne had already taken both boars. So she didn't have anything else to do on the map. She wanted to fight. So tricky predicament now for Lucifron, because we're now 10 minutes into the game, yet to capture a single sacred site. And you can't afford another fight loss like that. Losing a fight like that will almost guarantee that the level 3 is going to come in before you kick off the third. Chivalry also being queued up, so looks like we are going to start to get some recovery for these knights in general. Love the fact that Killjadi's playing flank on both sides. He's playing deer close to base, he's playing that boar deer stack in the corner, even actually putting outposts down here to be safe. Lucifron realistically can't pull Ghazi now to flank, but before that big fight, he did have enough that he would have looked to raid. And to be honest, that's the type of player that Lucifron always has been. He's very much a raid-focused pro. He doesn't necessarily look for the all-ins. He doesn't look for this turtle style. He wants to find ways to punish your flanks. So I love that Killjadi so far in this game has denied him that equity. Lucifron right now, his thought process is just, I need to hold on. I need to just basically now shift my comp more heavily away from Ghazi. You want a small group, of course, but realistically, you now want mainly spears and archers. You've seen your opponent's comp. Spears, archers counters it perfectly. Killjadi on the other side of this. I hope he's not leaning too hard on the idea of level 3 immediately wins the game. It definitely makes you very strong, but with the comp you've gone for, you have stripped an element of scalability behind it, right? Like the spearmen are going to become worthless, and you don't really want to be scaling archers this late into the feudal. So I think level 3 is good, but I still like to see Killjadi find a way to gradually get towards this castle age timing. Because the way that Lucifron's played this and the military leads buildings, it makes it a bit different to your standard level 3 as a GG moment. Which is impressive to me, because like typically you shouldn't be able to do what Lucifron's done on the count. Especially after the rough fight you took there. But credit to him, man. 41 to 20 military. 9 of yours being Ghazi is not bad. 2 sacred sites also locked in as a problem. Killjadi, you don't really see the hesitation, the fact that he isn't trying to decap until now. Like, he is reluctant to take a fight if a single unit is out of position. Lucy is going to mirror to try and block this. Backstab not going to be quick enough, so decaps should happen one by one, but one by one they're going to be captured, right? So this is just going to turn into a weird dance where Lucifron will keep maintaining a decent trickle of gold income, right? We get 125 to 250 at any given time. Jeanne needs to be sniped. Jeanne Wick looking to fight, even actually summons a puppy to the engagement. Both of them are fat, but they turn on him. Archers have almost got the snipe there, but Divine Restoration Pump comes out. Killjadi min-maxing it on 3 HP. He gets away, but it comes across. The Knights have been killed. Okay, this is a problem. Killjadi, he just got level 3, but now he doesn't have an army to defend with, so he's going to have to retreat all the way back home. It's at least going to be an upgrade and a threat, but considering that Lucifron still has 15 spears left over, this is a bad position to be in for Killjadi. He's also slowly losing Jeanne. Great peel off there in the end. Champions did get summoned. Kind of felt like a worthless champion summon, but at least this now puts it on cooldown. Killjadi now losing map control. This is where Lucifron could turn this into a free sacred site game. Dude, I think this is way too much tunnel vision coming out from Killjadi in that, right? So fixated on protecting his Jeanne. felt like he probably was feeling like he was going to get a good fight, right? But the reality is you're sending knights and spears into a line of spears that are 20% quicker at attacking. Considering the count difference, that means that actually the archers aren't needed to win for Lucifron. He just needs spears A-clicking. Just a great read there, able to use the archers that entire time, even diving into the knights at one point to guarantee the kill, or at least guarantee that Jeanne is kept on the ropes. Now, speaking of kills, first blood drawn in the villager department. 5 go down. That's also denial of the remaining deer as well as the remaining boar. Weird that actually Killjardy didn't finish the boar before going deer. I'm not sure what that was about. Maybe it's just he wanted the forward outpost, but it's worse, guys. Like, it's actually so much worse. And now things could not get much worse, it would feel like right now, right? Like Killjardy, yes, he's got level 3, but it's 3 sacred sites. It's an army double your size, and your knight count isn't exactly spooky here. 8 in total. Weird surround here from Lucifron from multiple directions as well. Jeanne! Oh no! No! The spears! Just about gets away. No, turns around! And goes down. Killjardy, he's going to lose the entire army now. Without Jeanne, there's no fear factor anymore. Lucifron fully commits with the A-clicks here. Great micro, just pulling the Ghazi away from the limited units that could counter you here. Archer count is practically nothing. Looks like the men-at-arms will be able to hold this out on the tail end. Lucifron, it looks like he didn't have a rally point directly to the engagement, but still a heavy loss there. Jeanne going down. Killjardy also now being reduced down to 2 knights in total. Meanwhile, on the other side of this, Lucifron has thrown away practically all Ghazis in favor of just more archer, more spear. That is changing though, right? Like we're seeing additional Ghazis coming in now because he's seeing the threat ahead of him. And it is mainly this idea that Killjardy could try to use archers to hold. Jeanne, that's going to be a buyback. That's an expensive investment. Holy crap. That was interesting. Killjardy, you notice he didn't buy back straight away. He didn't have the gold at first, but I think he was also waiting to see if he got aggroed. He didn't want to have to spend that, but unfortunately, no choice. Spears are at least going to idle this out. Cleave is pretty hard hitting here, so that's why Lucifron's showing a lot of respect. He's going to back away. Needs to get more spearmen out here. The spears could actually just protect this. I think it's a bit neglectful from Lucifron that he's not doing that. Ghazi just getting slapped down. If you're wondering, like, why is it a good idea to now trickle troops to keep Jeanne at bay? Level 4 takes a really, really long time. Your focus shouldn't be, oh my god, Jeanne's going to get level 4 if I throw away 3 Ghazi. Your focus should be, oh, if 3 Ghazi protect 20 archers, then it's worth it. I can afford to do that for 10 minutes before it really becomes scary. Fairness, in 10 minutes, this game would be over. Lucy. Stop piling a lot of wood now. Nice, immediately pinched up. I think the problem here is, like, if you can't keep this archer count down, even the Jeanne champions are going to fail you, right? Like, we can see it's 33 right now. A lot of them heavily injured, mind you. But the issue now for Killjardy is with a lack of knights and Jeanne only being 1 unit, like, it's very difficult to dive in. And if you can't get on top of these archers to make that cleave damage now matter and convert into kills, you run the risk of everything getting essentially 1 hit, right? The champions at this stage, they do have a lot of armor, admittedly. But even reducing the damage down to 1, in this case, they're reducing it down to 2. Like, in this case, 36 archers hitting in, that's 2.5 volleys to kill off a champion, right? It's not a lot when you consider that Killjardy can only spawn 3 of these every 4 minutes. Lucifron now on his way up, so he actually chose to tech up. What did he do with all that wood? Oh, that's interesting. I think he may have sold some of it because he had about 1,000 wood before, but it's all gone now. There's not really anything additional that's been built in the base. Interesting choice to do that, but I guess it's like one of those cases, like, wood is the easiest thing to get your hands on, right? And then when you look down, you realize you've kind of got like this over-burgeoning like eco in wood. Your choice is, I'm either playing farms in a long kind of feudal age, or I'm rushing a tech up. So tech up complete. Knights and crossbows now on the way. Killjardy on the other side of this, still just 1 TC. Has not played for relics whatsoever. That's something now that Lucifron can look towards. Does need to address Killjardy first, though. Ghazi aren't here for the defense. Spearmen are going to be, though. Hasn't queued the upgrade just yet. Focusing on getting additional spears out. Makes sense. The spearman upgrade isn't going to make the difference here. It's going to be the crossbows. Crossbows are the thing you need to get rid of these champions. Once these guys are dead, This army is incredibly weak from Kiljardi. Kiljardi, what he's thinking right now is I need that fight before it happens, but oh my god, the mistake! Jeanne may lead from the front, but now she's leading from 6 foot under, goes down instantly, and now in the retreat, this is where the losses are going to start to mount up. Has to defend against this, right? But like mass archers peppering away at you, that's going to be everything dying. Bad engagement for Kiljardi, and now this game is fully out of his hands. Ghazi, a few of them left over. Game now is a huge problem. Now, credit to him, actually. Whoa, I just realized he actually raided. Kiljardi, look at this. He got 8 worker kills out here. So credit to him, he at least clawed back the eco lead that Lucifron had built up. But still, you're now in a castle versus feudal engagement, right? Like, eco difference aside, it's still an entire age difference. And every unit you can build is now hard countered. Archer upgrade is still going to be a long way away. But even without that upgrade, remember, like, these feudal varieties are just better. You've also got Steel Arrow on the way. That's going to be a high priority coming in 3 minutes. And behind this, we are now seeing relics starting to be picked up. I don't know, man. I think Kiljardi, he tried to dive the main base. Maybe it would have been better to go on the flanks. He was looking for this timing before the Jeanne's champions were counted, and all it done is counted himself harder, right? Like, I think, did he buy back again? Oh my god, please tell me he didn't. He did. So that's 2 buybacks. That's twice now. You've spent 1,000 gold on this, and now check this. This cleave coming in. This many archers could actually kill you. The crossbows as well. Divine Restoration comes out just in time. Archers are going to keep on sniping down those knights. Jeanne's going in again, but that's going to be a mistake. She's going to die off. Again, she's removed from the battlefield. And this time, it might be a bit too more permanent, right? Like, you haven't got the buyback for 2 minutes. Your army is about to be completely removed from the battlefield. The knights just aren't cutting anymore. Crossbows there to clear them up. This feels like the end of the road. Kiljardi, credit to him for, like, you know, kind of making it look close after some shaky starting grounds, but I think Lucifron, like, this was more an outplay than anything else. Kiljardi multiple times mismicroed with Jeanne and misread the state of the game, right? Like, looking for all-ins instead of going for these raid attacks, which is what France really does excel at. I think that just gave Lucifron the opening. I'm still not convinced that Delhi can function against Jeanne at the absolute highest level. If you're talking like the player skills, like they are absolutely pitch perfect matched, that's where I would say the Delhi just still fall apart. That's not to take anything away from Kiljardi. I don't think you see that as an insult. He's a very talented player, but Lucifron definitely has a lot more experience and a lot more proof of execution here. And unfortunately, that has paid off to Kiljardi's demise in this game number 1. This game, he has 1 more fight left in him. If it's another fight like the ones we've been seeing for the last 20 minutes, that will be his GG. He's running out of food sources on the flanks, right? He's running out of access and safety points. And also, he's in a game now where Lucifron, he went compound defender. You can see Village Fortresses is on the way. And the interesting thing about Village Fortresses here, right? Like, by the time you're going to get it in, you're going to be at, what, 72, 75 eco? You can afford to go and gather stone at that stage. Now, Sacred Site has at least been decapped, so Kiljardi gets some runway there. But he's still not even ready to age up. And that's the difficulty for me. It's like, every time he now fights, he loses more than he kills. And then, to get back in the fight, he has to invest all of his economy into military again, right? So it's like, the issue is compounding because it means that Kiljardi can never get out of age 3. Age 2, rather. Jeanne up again. Jeanne dies really quickly to this many crossbows. Need to be careful of it. Knights are going to raid in. Looks like Kiljardi is going to find a few eco kills here. Even with the textiles. That's going to be a charge out Kiljardi. Going for the engagement. Knights getting sniped down. Great micro by Lucifron. Great split as well. Look at the damage already done. And 1 flurry of attacks here. Divine Restoration likely to have to be used, or Jeanne's going to have to be kept back. So Lucifron, more than happy to take this trade. Mecha Jeanne just isn't a threat anymore. And they just archers left over. Knights are going to rally from the backside. Jeanne is going to sally in. Doesn't use the Divine Restoration. I mean, you can't keep doing this. This keeps happening. Like, perfect opportunities like that to get that Divine Restoration out. Like, just use it before you go back in. Probably wouldn't have made much difference here, considering the lack of knights, but just shows you, like, when you consider those type of moments and how they've added up across the game, it's no surprise that Lucifron now finds himself perched up on the precipice of victory here. Killjadi now without Jeanne again. I mean, you could buy her back, right? Cooldown's over, takes 2 minutes, and then it's available again, but I just don't see what it does now. There's a stage where Jeanne stops functioning as a Giga Chad herself and becomes a support unit, right? Like, she's there to assist the size of your army. That requires size that he simply doesn't have. I think Killjadi is actually finally thinking about going for an age up. The question now is, like, will you survive the tech up? And what do you do immediately afterwards? Because I'm seeing 9 Lancers, I'm seeing 22 crossbowmen. As long as Lucifron doesn't back away, he can intercept this tech up. Killjadi right now, what he's thinking is like, okay, hopefully he's moving back. He's doing something at home, like setting up keeps on the sacred sites. It'll buy me some time, but Lucifron, he ain't that kind of fella. He'll raid, and raid again. Luckily for Killjadi, he chooses the right side of his base to build this in. Unfortunately for Killjadi, he doesn't seem to feel like Rule Institute is a recovery plan. And I don't blame him, I agree. Now the issue, though, is you don't have this strong amplification to your defense, right? Like, you basically are now matching the castle age, and you have to somehow fight from behind. So tech up in. Lucifron has started gathering stones, so we're going to get keep drops coming in. Look at the timing as well. Village Fortress is about to complete in 20 seconds, so this is where we're going to start seeing his economy accelerate. And that's why Lucifron's not, like, rushing a dive here, despite the tech timing and everything. Right now, he's thinking, okay, I have all the sacred sites. I've got keeps on the way. Like, now I am flourishing. Like, my economy is only going to grow from here. I already have 3 of the 5 relics. The others are now accessible. There's nothing really negative about dragging this game later for me. Killjadi, on the other hand, has a very awkward position now because he has to start setting up farms soon. The pocket resources are running out. He also has to somehow gain access to gold, which is being blocked. Suffice to say that he may be in Castle Age, but it doesn't feel much like Castle. But now he's getting the gold out here, but that's only got 500 left over. Farms being torched down. Love this choice by Lucifron. Killjadi's hope of recovery lies in food, right? Arbitrary Knights, both of them are pretty expensive in that department. Arbitrary 80, and of course the Knights up at 140. So this is a pretty well-timed dive. Even finds the gold area. So right now, Killjadi has got 24 villagers trapped in a corner with 3 berry bushes left. He tried to gather some wood. That would set him up with the farm transition, so it's not terrible to be stuck there. But it's still not your way out of a jam. And the thing that's kind of worrying me is, like, I like that he's going arbitrary. I usually like to see that for Jeanne D'Arc because they're best unit. What I don't like is how limited his front line looks here. You're up against 14 Lancers, 15 Spearmen. Even if it turns into just a range battle here, you're talking about a pretty sizable lead of 2-1 for Lucifron. And it's more than 2-1, right? Like, arbitrary might be strong, but crossbows with Tower of Victory kind of evens that up. Jeanne moving in. Immediate snipe down to half HP. Just about gets away, but now she has to hang back, right? Frontline's not going to last long, and this should be breakpoint. It's just ridiculous how good Tower of Victory is here. Arbitrary count just not really high enough to dent the Lancers. All cavalry now removed from Killjadi's comp. He's about to be removed from this map. You know, props to him for hanging in this long to try and find a recovery arc. I mean, obviously we have God Vision. You know, it might seem like we're being expecting a GG any second. I think we could always see this from Killjadi's perspective. What we're seeing is him trying to claw his way back in. And for good reason. Like, Jeanne can pull off some miraculous things. And in a matchup that she's meant to be favored in, I can't blame him for trying to go again and again. But in the end, outcome is undeniable here. Lucifron gets himself up on match point. We have seen the Delhi and Jeanne used. Killjadi has to be going Ottomans, right? Like, realistically, you have to be playing Ottomans here. Your back is now up against the wall. I do not see any other option. The question is, what's Lucifron's reaction going to be? If you're up against Ottomans, I think Japan's terrible. You cannot play Japan into Ottomans. That is a instant GG. The meta with the +2 melee armor guarantees it. You don't even get to begin your castle age properly. Zhuji feels really flimsy. I don't think you're ticking the right box. I'm expecting this to be Ayyubids. And if we have a look, I can confirm we are indeed going to be getting an Ayyubid Ottoman matchup. Now, we saw Vortex versus Louis with this matchup on Freezing Marshes, actually. This is Dry Arabia. It's a bit different there. But the thing that felt the same is this idea of this timing where you ramp a Castle Age army and strike. I actually think that Ayyubids are low-key pretty good against the Ottomans. Ottomans don't have many good clean counters. Most matchups you feel like you have to outplay. But I think Ayyubids, although it requires a little bit of outplaying, it's a more balanced matchup than people are giving it credit for. So let's see what Lucifron can do with it here. Lucifron, one of the two people that has consistently throughout this entire group stage said, why would I waste a ban on the Ottomans? That's not, like, they're not the Ottomans. It says Otto here. There's no OP in their name, so I have nothing to worry about. Let's see if that holds true. We hop into the second game. Lucifron with the Ayyubid is going to hit the 2x speeder here. So we're probably going to be looking at a Desert Raider opening. A Desert Raider opening is pretty nice because it deals with the initial spearmen coming out from the Ottomans. And then after that, you go for Growth Wing in Castle Age, which is really strong. It just gives you a huge eco-inflation that matches the military production increase that you get passively as the Ottomans. Ottos, because it's going to be that spear opening, has to be the military score, right? Did I say Ottomans don't have a counter? They don't have clear 100% apparent counters. Like, they are very flexible and very powerful. That's why they get banned by so many players, is because it feels very easy to just kind of float through to the later timings. I think, like, most of the matchups where they aren't hard countering something, it's more, I'd say, comparative to a skill matchup situation, right? Like, we see that with Delhi Ottos as a perfect example, where power spikes come in different points. I think Ayyubids are possibly Ottoman's strongest counter that exists, right? That we've figured out so far. All right, so let's hit the 2-timer. There you go, Desert Raider. Desert Raider just makes sense. Like, this now shuts down the Ottoman Spearman opening, and it can't do anything, right? Because you just attack him with the range form. And then that will force Kiljadi to add something else in when he reaches Feudal Age. While he's spending time doing that, you can then spend time going towards Castle Age. It won't be immediate. I think the best way to play this matchup against the Ottomans is you want to initially ramp a few units out. You want to build maybe stables and archery range. You want to build enough buildings that you get Golden Age 2, and then you want to be teching up by the time you have about 15 buildings in that structure. Nice little raid here. Bit of a miss micro by Kiljadi on the berries. This suggests that, well, I'd say miss micro. This suggests that it's going to be advancement wing. The fact that he's taken 2 berry bushes already is very telling. Sorry, miss micro by Kiljadi. Miss micro by Lucifron. My brain today. Lucifron is not going for the growth wing. He's going advancement. There's no other reason that you'd eat this many berries. So attack up complete. Desert Raider out, and that's going to be Spearman dealt with. Other one's going to have to head home. We're going to stick on the 2-time speed until we get some real units coming through. This Desert Raider should be able to actually idle out the goal, which is quite nice. It means if Kiljadi does want this to turn to a prolonged Feudal Age, it slows down his timings, because he won't be able to get into his eco upgrades and his blacksmith upgrades as quickly. Another reason why the Desert Raider is so powerful, right? Like, not only does it counter this opening spears by Kiljadi, but now, on the flip side, it means he has to add in extra military units to defend this, or outposts to defend this. Either way, it's an expensive investment, and the thing that makes Desert Raiders crazy is, like, it makes your opponent predictable. The best counter to this Desert Raider play is going to be archers, typically, right? If you're adding in archers, great. I can add in stables, get horsemen. I think one nice thing you can actually do with the Ottomans that feels better is Sipahi. And yeah, it is going to be exactly that. So stables coming in. Sipahi can deal with the Desert Raiders, because remember, although you're up against the Camelanese and you have a higher base damage Sipahi, you also benefit from the fact that you get bonus damage versus range still. And this is a range tag unit. Desert Raider being a little bit annoying in the meantime. Love the scan coming in. So notice you pull scout one side, shoots the Desert Raider from the other. It just means, the reason why this is good is it means that if you're able to reach at this range, your opponent has to come further out. They can't do that weird thing where it's like, oh, both units are here, I'll shift other side. It covers both bases, so a little bit of chip damage. Definitely slowing Kiljadi down. Other side of this, Lucifron is not slowing down himself, though. when you see that your opponent's going advancement wing, you should understand that this is not going to be one of those prolonged feudal games. Ayyubid's only really playing more feudal when they're looking towards this later tech timing. The reason is if you choose to go for the full 2-minute wind-up, you need the benefits of the research speed from Tier 2 to kind of repair your timings. But if you go advancement wing, you don't really care as much about the Golden Age 2. It's nice to have, sure, but it's not absolutely necessary. Extra desert raiders being added in. This is pretty cool, actually. Like, he saw the Sipahi, right? Like, they're already chasing him down. They can get close, by the way. But the interesting thing, right, is by adding in an extra desert raider, it completely screws the numbers that Killjadi had in mind to deal with these camels. Extra desert raiders are already on the way. Needs to be a little bit careful about the spears. Unfortunately for Killjadi, that just screwed over the chase a little. That just gave space, and now you've got to deal with 2 desert raiders. Third one seems to be rotating where? Okay, he's coming through the center. So this is really bad now for Killjadi. Getting caught like this is exactly what you can't afford. Love that. Lucifron just steps forward to stick on top of his target. If he switches into attack mode, woohoo! Easy pickings. Even going to find villagers now as well. Killjadi, game's getting uncomfortable. Lucifron is about to make it even more uncomfy. Advancement wing is about ready to pull the trigger on, right? Like, he's got the food coming in the next 2 seconds, and gold's already there. Is he going to hold on now? Okay, that's wild. If this is growth wing, I'd be surprised if this was growth wing from the get-go. Also, wild thing he done here, adding an extra mill. I don't see players doing this, especially if you have wheelbarrow. So that's quite unique. Desert raiders are actually so annoying. I can't believe. So I think the reason why he's not rushing the tech up is this detail. Like, Killjadi is facing so much idle time, and his answer of Sipahi as an opener is terrible. This is why I said archers is probably going to have to be your go-to. If you do Sipahi, you counter and get countered, right? Like, if you'd gone for archers here, though, you could argue that, you know, Lucifron could have done similar and gone for horsemen. But what he wouldn't have had is a hybridized option to attack your economy as well, right? That's what he's getting via these archers. So, triggers the tech up. It is going to be growth wing. Yeah, not optimal what he done with the berries then. In fairness, in this game, he could have played sheep long enough. He's got 8 sheep left over. It would have been a slightly worse gathering rate, but it's worth it for an extra 600 safe food. But it is, at the end of the day, going to be an insane eco advantage, right? 8 extra villages in a game where you're already 3 workers up. So I say 3. Yeah, he did go textiles. So make that 4. This is really well executed by Lucifron. A little bit different from the game his bro played against Louis. That game was more eco-greedy focused, but it involved a little bit of Desert Raider probing, right? Like, it's always the Desert Raider opening, but their approaches were different, and Lucifron understood the difference between something like Frisian Marshes and Dry Arabia is Dry Arabia has a lot more flanking points you can rotate around the base with. So this playing the Desert Raiders was actually really well received, right? Like, you know, the Sipahi count was meant to insulate him against it, but because Killjadi didn't understand that it was going to be additional Desert Raiders, he didn't prep that count. And now he's going to find himself a mile behind. Growth Wing completes in 30 seconds. Advancement would have been good for kind of like making sure the upgrades come from Desert Raiders if you want to play them. Same with the Archers, but this isn't going to hurt too much. Like, the extra weight isn't really going to kill him per se. I'd say you just keep scaling Archers until you're ready to have Age 2. Because Age 2, saving you 20 seconds, that's an extra Archer coming out, right? Extra Archer and a half. It might not sound like a lot, but you know, in these tight situations where your opponent is more in an all-in feudal stage, it's actually quite a big difference. All right, Killjadi, what's his thoughts now? He's probably sitting here thinking, I can't just now raw tech up. If I raw tech up, then my opponent is going to get all the relics on the map, so now I need to attack. And I need to keep scaling Sipahi to keep that count in my favor, because Sipahi do have high base damage, and although that means more damage is being reduced, it means more damage is fundamentally going through the armor of the Camel Lancers that I know he's adding in. So, pretty smart choice here to go to Sipahi Spears. Has also got the meta with the aura, so that's going to buff him up quite a bit in these fights. Doesn't fully offset what Camelanies does to you, but at least makes it less impactful of an element. Lucifron a little bit early in the Dervish play here. Yeah, a bit surprised he committed it that early and also that bluntly in the opponent's face. It just allows Killjadi to have a little bit more wiggle room to keep doing this. Because now it feels justified, right? Like before, if there was no Dervish coming out, there's an extra, let's say, Camel Lancer queued up because of that. Killjoy would be like, oh no, what have I done? Why am I here? But now he's like, okay, this is like not as bad. I do need to get more troops out, but now I know he's splitting his resources into the mosque. It means I have still got a military edge. Problem is, it won't last long, so he needs to decide what he's going to do with it soon. Lucifron's goal now is to get to almost 20 archers and then add in the blacksmiths. Steel Arrow will already be coming out. By the time you're at like 20 archers, you want to be looking towards Sultan's Mamluks. You could even consider going for the melee tech here, just because you're against a full melee army, so like actually getting the +1 defense is quite nice. This is pretty interesting, because like Killjoy, one awkward thing that I'm seeing here is like he doesn't actually have a way of trading these archers cleanly. Even when the Sipahi get in, the problem is you can't use Fortitude because these guys are lingering nearby, right? It's like you've just got like a mitigation of your damage outright. Slash here, Killjoy not feeling content about taking a fight whatsoever, so bad exchange. Steel Arrow now on the way, but even before it comes in, heavy losses here for Killjoy. All of a sudden, now it's going to be Lucifron with a military lead. This is getting a bit grim as well. I love that he keeps the Desert Raiders in ranged form here. Camel Lancers just effective tanks in this engagement. And check the damage increase now. These guys hit harder than standard archers. Damn, dude, this is a sick read. With a quicker attack speed as well. What a great read here by Lucifron. We often see players neglect to upgrade the Desert Raiders, but this just destroyed Killjoy's army. And what was he doing with the rest of it? He was trying to attack. He didn't find anything. Dude, that's wild. Out of time on the gold now, just to guarantee Killjoy can't age up. And this game is looking brutal right now. Now, admittedly, there's not enough troops still to defend against this massiment of Sipahi. But there are a few more camels coming, right? And a few camels with TC assistance could shut this down. In fact, what I don't like right now, Killjoy staying on this outpost feels like a mistake. He's waiting for the first dervish. Realistically, he should be hitting this economy here. So Lucifron is getting away with an insanely overly aggressive play. And no damage, no true damage is being done at home. Yeah, I think Killjoy missed a trick here. Now with the meta being removed, he won't try to commit again. So this is just going to be a full retreat and a negative situation, right? A lot of idle time, a lot of military kept with their head down in the dirt. And while this has been happening, Lucifron, of course, has been grabbing more of those relics. So here's the interesting thing. Someone's been brought up about how, like, actually those Sipahi could have killed the entire army. Timing wouldn't have aligned. He would have lost all the spearmen anyway. And the problem afterwards is if he brought the Sipahi back as soon as he saw that happening, these archers hit for 8 damage in that fight. They would have possibly been hitting for 9 halfway through. You have 1 ranged armor, right? Like, oh, sorry, 3 ranged armor. Even with a Sipahi, that's 2/3 of the damage going through, right? That hits pretty hard. If you want a Fortitude to try and fill up those archers quicker, you then have a problem with these Camel Lancers, who are already making you hit for less. So, you know, it would have been a more even exchange, but I don't think the mistake was not bringing the Sipahi home. The mistake was having the Sipahi stand here, instead of just going in. If you got some eco damage done there, it's thumbs up, you're still in this game. But now, with a trade like that, in a situation where you're still an entire age behind, this game is entirely out your hands now. You're relying on Lucifron making some critical errors. Dervish on the way back as well. Can even think about a wall off if he wants to. We'll activate it here. Killjoy's going to have to retreat away. Actually, body blocks come in. He tries to go deeper. That's it. No coming back from that. That was a sick move. Lucifron dragged the archers in to block a charge through. Guarantees the Dervish gets away, even alive on 3 HP, and he gets himself 4 more units to keep on diving with. And now it's still just 8 Sipahi over here. I mean, realistically, they've done nothing. They've idled out gold a little bit. They've killed 1 or 2 Desert Raiders, sure, but they haven't done any permanent damage. Meanwhile, on the other side, that's all I'm seeing happen to Killjoy. More and more losses as the game goes on. Lancers continue to chase in on the villagers. Next wave on the way, and this is just never going to let up. Rams now coming in from the Spaniard. Wow. Killjoy, as we've seen, won't be the type of player that will just call it immediately. And this is what I was talking about when you bring the Sipahi home. Like, look at what happens. Sure, there was more Sipahi than this if he brought them before, but there were more camels here if he brought them earlier as well, right? It just shows you how bloody big the difference is between veterancy and feudal horsemen. Even quality horsemen like Sipahi. Janissary point. Dude, if you're pulling Janissaries against mass archers, I think that says literally everything it needs to about the state of the game here. Killjardy at death's door at this stage. 7 Jannies are going to be pulling out to try and contest this. But now you can just dive in and clear them up. Remember, they take extra damage from the archers. Sure, it's good against Lancers, but Lancers was your problem about 4 minutes ago. This is now archers. Mass archers at that. And it is looking brutal. 2 Jannies left over. No real structure of this army anymore. And Lucifron about to be on 4 relics, soon to be 5. Yeah, so what could have Killjardy done different here? I liked the early tempo, but I didn't like the open Sipahi. I think that set him up for failure compared to Archer opening, which would have been slower, but at least would have stopped the Desert Raiders from being annoying. It gave Lucifron everything he needed, because the moment those Desert Raiders started raiding, the Sipahi never done the same. They were simply built to counter the raid attempts by Lucifron. And that's not ideal. It's even less ideal when you do this to stop the raids and then still end up losing 3 villages in the early phase of the game. Those details were really what put him on the road to failure here. Or for Lucifer on the road to success. And it is indeed going to be very successful. A 2-0 victory line. And, you know, this is them showing off that idea of why they don't really fear the Ottomans. The Ottomans may seem like a very powerful pick. They do have a lot of maps where they can work, a lot of matchups as well. But I got to say, I think that the Spaniards are onto something. The Ayyubids, if there is something that feels like a clean answer to the Ottomans, I think this is going to be that Civ.